Hello, my name is Marcos Robles, and today I'm going to present my evidence tree of anthropology. First, we're going to start with the impact of cultural diversity in the appearance of this social problem. The cultural diversity has a lot to do with the social problem. The social problem I select is the education during the pandemic. As we know, every school is different in each country, even in every state inside a country. It depends on the qualities of every culture, how they react and how they manage their problem in the education. In many countries, the pandemic doesn't affect as much students as other countries that were less developed. Then I'm gonna talk about the ethnographic techniques and their applications in my social problem. As I studied before, there are two main techniques that help me a lot to gather information about this problem. The first ethnographic technique is the documentation. In this technique, we gather information from many official documents as newspapers, magazines, and official texts. These techniques help me a lot to gather a lot of information about the pandemic and its effect in the education. I searched in many official texts of the government or in many famous magazines in my country, and other official texts and famous magazines in other countries also. This technique helps me a lot to understand my social problem in my own city and country, and in other countries all around the world. And the other ethnographic technique I use is the testimony. This technique helps me to gather first-hand information from persons that suffered the effects of the education during the pandemic. This technique is based in interviews to certain people that experience my social problem. With this technique, I developed several questions to do to people I interview. With the interviews, I gather many information that help me to develop and understand my social problem. Next, I'm going to present certain pictures and products of qualitative research that are applied to my social problem. As we can see in this article, it talks about all the effects and changes that the education has had because of the pandemic. In this picture of this article, we can see a little girl that is taking her classes in a virtual way. Also in this article, it mentions the main effects that the education has had as the consequences of virtual classes. Then I'm gonna talk about the problems I faced during the ethnographic research. A problem that I faced several times is that I don't know exactly where to search information because there are many sites, especially when I was searching information about other countries. It was hard and take time to find good information about my topic that really helps me during my research. Next, I'm going to talk about my personal opinion. In my opinion, this topic was very interesting to research about. I learned a lot of many aspects in the education in my country and in other countries around the world. I also learned about the effects that suffered the education during these last 2 years, and how my country tries to fight the social problem, compared on how other countries face the social problem. I learned that in these cases, the people have a lot to do in how a country faces the problem. In the countries that are more developed and that the persons take the sanitary rules in a strict way is where the education got less affected. Finally, I learned that the students get used to have online classes and they used to get bored or not to learn at all using virtual education. Many students return with a lot of energy of learning and to finally feel like they are learning something. In conclusion, we can see all the aspects of the pandemic in education and how through these 2 years we have developed with the pandemic. Also, we can see how the different countries in all around the world try to fight the pandemic and the sanitary rules each country has. We can see about the effort of the government and the persons and how all this helped to fight the pandemic and to return earlier to classes. Finally, we can see how with the arrival of the vaccines and the sanitary rules, many students could return again to presential classes, following the sanitary rules, saving distance from one another and always wearing a face mask. After all these processes, all the world is returning to the education we had before the pandemic. I think it will never be the same as we had before, but at least it's gonna be much better, and all the students are gonna be ready to achieve all the knowledge the education is gonna give them. So, let's hope that after passing all these complications with the pandemic, the students can appreciate and really learn all the things they need to be successful, and be what they want to be. Thanks for your attention.